the time has come to really quantify your cyber risks. So don't keep guessing. Don't keep going blind about your cyber risk. Make sure you have a better grasp and a better understanding, and the best way is to have trustworthy figures that can drive those decisions. So the technology is there, the model is proven, it's more than 10 years old, and it's helping companies already to prioritize their cybersecurity investments and communicate properly with their board. So don't wait and take a step towards it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Risk Management Show podcast, where we explore critical trends, strategies, shaping risk, security, and leadership today. I am your host, Boris Agranovich, founder and CEO at Global Risk Community. And our guest today is Asdrúbal Pichardo, CEO of Squalify, a cyber risk quantification platform backed by Munich Reinsurance, one of the world's leading cyber insurer. So, Asdrúbal, welcome to our Risk Management Show podcast today.
Thank you, Boris. Very pleased to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. So, I believe that we will have a very thoughtful conversation on the topic of cyber risk quantification. What enables the shift to making cyber risk quantifiable, comparable, and actionable. But before that, Asdrúbal, can you shortly introduce yourself, discuss your career path and what brought you to where you are right now, maybe what you guys at Squalify are up to these days?
Sure, Boris. Yeah, so I have more than 25 years experience in the IT industry, mainly in the software space. Working for small and large companies. I do have a technical background, studied computer science many years ago, so I was doing a lot of programming, and later got also into IT stuff, including IT security and networking. But in the last 12 years, I've been helping smaller companies, software companies, also startups, to become international and to expand. I also had the great opportunity to work 12 years for SAP, which is a very large software company. And since I left SAP in year 2012, yes, I've been working for smaller companies. And my passion is really to grow business and take something that is small and make it big. So that's why I got into this startup topic, and actually Squalify is my third job, my third role as CEO of a startup. And again, has always been in the last years a SaaS, software as a service. Right now, cybersecurity, and before that, doing a lot with AI. I think the jump into cybersecurity, and then I will get into Squalify, was a natural progression for me. I mean, being able to work in very hot and current technology topics, like artificial intelligence in the past, and now cybersecurity, also with my IT background, that combined with my business experience was a great fit for me. So it's an opportunity I couldn't say no when I was offered to join Squalify as a CEO. And in the last 2 years, I've been leading this Squalify startup. Officially, we are 2 years in the markets, and as you mentioned, Boris, we are a spin-off from Munich Re. Munich Re is the largest reinsurer of the world, and they've come up with a unique solution which builds and leverages the extensive history that Munich Re has gathered in the cyber insurance space. So really looking at what have been the costs of cyber incidents in the past, and that allows us to be very precise and come up with trustworthy figures, quantifying and putting a financial number on the cyber exposure of companies. So that's what we're doing. So it's a software as a service, a product, and yeah, serving all kind of industries.
Mm-hmm. So your company advocates for a top-down approach to CRQ, and can you elaborate on what this means in practice and how it helps global enterprises and insurance translate?
Yeah,
abstract
sure.
IT. Yeah.
Yeah, so the topic of service quantification is not new. There have been other companies trying to do this, but those typically they do a bottom-up approach, which is the classic way of how companies are doing risk management. So really focusing in your assets and understanding on the operation level what kind of risk and what you can do to deal with the risk at the asset level. This is very good for operational, but when it comes to aggregating results and giving the executive committee or the board a strategic information on where the company is mostly exposed, where they should be driving investments. This is where the top-down approach comes into play, and that has been the DNA of Squalify from day one. So we, opposed to bottom-up, we do a top-down quantification, so we don't focus on all the assets, we focus on the top level of the company or subsidiaries or business units, and that allows us to be very lean thanks to the data, the history that we have from Munich Re, our parent company, and provide a financial number. So really telling the boards what is the exposure in terms of financial metrics, but really at the end speaking the language of the business, which is money, and avoiding any technical terms. At the end of the day, the boards, they want to know how much we are talking about. We're talking about 10 million or 500 million in case of a cyber attack. And once you have that number, and of course you trust that number, you can make the right decision. You can decide and make sure you are putting your money in the right buckets. You are making the right investments in cybersecurity in order to reduce your exposure. And this is something you can do with top down. It's very lean and very quick compared to the very detailed and a lot of effort approach from bottom up, which, by the way, is also very tricky with bottom up to aggregate at the company level. In our case, top down is inherently aggregated because you have a number at the top level of the company or subsidiary.
Mm-hmm. So maybe could you walk us through a real world example, maybe without throwing a name, scenario where your kind of this approach enabled a company to make a more strategic and impactful cybersecurity investment decision?
Yeah, so we have a couple of examples. A recent was being one of our customers. The CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, he was not happy with the level of detail he was getting from bottom up or from operational risk. So he was really having a tool to help him to show to the boards how exposed this company are, but at the same time being able to validate that his strategy and the investment he has been doing are on the right track. So with Squalify, again, a very lean and in a few days, a couple of weeks, he was able to get these figures and go back to the board and show here, this is our exposure, this is still within our risk appetite, but look what I've been doing, not only to reduce our risk exposure compared to last year, because this is something he repeated. So, you want to repeat this on a regular basis, not only doing once, but also looking into the future, how we'll continue and demonstrating the investment in the right areas, in the right information security controls to reduce the financial exposure of the company, but also confirming, yes, this was a manufacturing company. I mean, they're mostly exposed on the business interruption side of the house. So when they experience a cyber attack, they will lose money because they're not able to operate, to produce. So just confirming, but also validating their budget for the next year, thanks to the figures from the service quantification.
Uh-huh. So what are some of the common pitfalls or kind of misleading facts that company encounter when trying to determine the true return of their cybersecurity investments? And how does your approach help overcome this?
Yeah, I think two things come to my mind. On one side, companies, they tend to underestimate the relevance of having proper governance and proper maturity of the controls around governance. So sometimes CISOs or chief risk officer, they believe, okay, we need to invest more and more in technology. We need to invest in first line of defense. We need to invest in this new identity management system because very tangible. And some people they get stuck in this technical stuff, but they underestimate the impact of having proper policies. For example, how you are managing, how you are vetting your third party supply chain, how you're vetting your providers. So the whole topic of governance tends to be underestimated, and it becomes very apparent when you do the quantification, because the tool also shows you where you need to invest, where you're lacking. So they recognize, okay, we need to improve our process. We need to do more training also for the employees and how to onboard suppliers, but also how to train and educate our workforce. So that's one pitfall, and it becomes very. Sometimes there are surprises. Oh, I thought I was doing well on responding to cyber attack, but I'm not very good at prevention, right? So the whole governance piece and having the right policies. Yeah, and the other pitfall, I guess, is in general underestimating the impact of cyber attacks. So if they don't have a tool which is validated with the history of actual cyber incidents, they come up with some figures or ranges, or it's only qualitative and not quantitative. So they tend to underestimate the potential impact and the potential losses the company will experience. So doing the quantification is eye-opening. Oh, this is serious. This is more than I thought. What we are doing about this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they can decide, do we invest in cyber insurance? Do we increase or decrease our coverage? But remember, the cyber insurance might only help with part of the potential losses. So you have multiple measures to deal with your cyber exposure. So you might decide, okay, let's say I have a potential exposure of 10 million every year, and maybe I will at least cover half of it with cyber insurance, but the rest I would like to try to minimize the impact by doing the right investments in cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's discuss about benchmarking, because cyber benchmarking cyber posture across entities and against industry peers is crucial. So how does Squalify facilitate this process, and what are the benefits for organizations looking to understand their relative cyber risk and resilience?
Yeah, so part of one of the functionality that our platform provides is benchmarking, and it's pretty popular. Because the board wants to understand, wants to see how good or how bad they are doing compared to the competition. And it's not only about benchmarking you against the industry average. So we look at, okay, you are a bank or you are a manufacturing company, we come to a good average for that industry. We are also even able to benchmark you against 3 or 4 peers. And peers means companies similar size, same industry, same real operation. So really making sure we compare apple with apples. And the way this is visualized is you can think about a heat map. So you see in a heat map visually, are you doing better or worse? And it goes also into the detail, where are you lagging? When it comes to cyber risk, there are different consequence scenarios. You have how much money you might lose because of business interruption, then you have data privacy breach, and you have financial theft and fraud, or ransomware. So you might be doing good on the data privacy part, but then you are probably not doing enough on the business interruption. And being able to visualize that and saying, okay, I'm doing better here compared to the competition, or I'm lagging behind, helps to prioritize. Of course, gives the board a peace of mind, so the psychological factor, we are doing better, but also increasing the sense of urgency. Oh, we need to catch up, because you don't want to lose market share, and if the competition is better prepared for a cyber attack compared to your company. So this is just an additional way to drive the sense of urgency and help you understand where to prioritize, where to put efforts to improve your cybersecurity and reduce your cyber risk.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Given this accelerating pace of cyber threats, what do you see as the future of cyber risk management, and how do you believe this approach will continue to evolve to meet the challenges and demands of the ever-changing threat landscape? I mean, quantification
Yeah,
approach.
I think that as we know, I mean, this is not going away, so it's just going to the cyber threats are continue to increase. The cyber threat landscape continues to evolve. I mean, we observe the hackers, becoming more and more sophisticated, so becoming more creative. Think about AI and deep fakes, and having a tool that is constantly monitoring the cyber threat landscape, like Squalify. And remember, Munich Re has skin on the game because they also are doing a lot of business on cyber insurance, so they have to keep the model updated. So every year there are new knowledge, new insight, new information on the cyber threat landscape. And then that when you quantify, it allows you to make adjustments and make sure you are doing the right investments and the right tweaks in your strategy to deal with this cyber risk. If you don't do nothing, just it's going to get worse and worse. So having a tool that you can repeat this and having the confidence that this already being updated based on the advances and the cyber threat landscape gives you peace of mind, but also give you the right knowledge and insights to drive your strategy around cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. So I know that you guys produced a CRQ readiness assessment report. So can you walk us through what does it mean and how it aims to help CISOs, CFOs, and boards speak the same language regarding cyber risk?
Right. So yeah. So we found out that still there's a lot of awareness and education needed in the markets, and we want to help companies, independent whether they buy our tool or not. At the end, we want them to provide some tools to help them. What do I get? But also, am I prepared? Because in order to take advantage of a tool like Squalify, there's some input required, and there are some preparation needed. So we came up with it's a free tool. We call it the CRQ Readiness Assessment Tool, and with very few questions, we drive the user to become aware of what this is about. It's really low effort, so it's also part of the education. So we take them to questions like, who will be the taker? Who will be the receiver of the CRT result? Is this something you go back on a regular basis to your board of management, or also the ESCO, the executive committee? I mean, all companies have an ESCO, so it's an extended board, or it's something that you only want to use to fine tune your risk management strategy. So that's how the assessment starts. So who's your audience, right? So, and typically, okay, because we want the CISOs and the chief risk officer to communicate properly with the boards, they will tick the box, board of management or EXCO, because there's always some reporting needed, and trying to make that less technical but more business oriented. Then we ask a question regarding why they're interested. So are they concerned only about what is the cost of a cyber incident, or are they keen to understand if they're spending too much or too little? And that, of course, compared to other business priorities. Also the question whether they're using cyber insurance, and if they're questioning the value of cyber insurance. Then, of course, another question there is around how often you would like to update your audience. Is it something you do once per year, you do this half year, or every quarter? And also relevant for us is, are you looking only at your company at the top level, or would you be also interested, or do you think this will be relevant to quantify at the subsidiary level? Because if you are a multi-entity and multinational, you probably have different entities, different subsidiaries with different maturity, and you need to avoid applying the same measure across the board. So that's another question. And the last two questions in this assessment is around, do you know where to find the information you need to do a risk quantification? So do you know where to find financial information? There's an annual report somewhere. Is there a BCP, a business continuity plan? Have you done audits and you have probably assessments, maturity assessment of security? So is this like a yes or no? Do you know where it is? And the last question, of course, is who's going to drive the effort? Is this something that's going to be driven centrally by the CISO organization or by the risk organization under the CIO or the CFO? So basically, you get this is 5-6 questions, less than 2 minutes, and at the end, you get a qualitative answer on assessment on how mature you are, whether you are ready to do a risk quantification or not.
Yeah, we put a link in the show notes of this interview so our listeners and viewers can try to use this tool. All right.
Yeah,
And
it's please feel free to try it. It's fun and it
okay.
helps.
So, right. So, if we summarize our interview for someone who is listening and would like to walk away with one or two major takeaways, what would it be?
Yeah, I think the time has come to really quantify your cyber risk. So don't keep guessing. Don't keep going blind about your cyber risk. Make sure you have a better grasp and a better understanding. And the best way is to have trustworthy figures that can drive those decisions. So the technology is there, the model is proven, it's more than 10 years old, and it's helping companies already to prioritize their cybersecurity investments and communicate properly with their board. So don't wait and take a step towards it.
Mhm. All right. Thanks again. And it was great to speak to you and understand what your company does. And we will cooperate with your company as a global risk community in the future. So that's all my questions. If I forgot maybe to ask you something specific question that you feel important to our audience, please go ahead.
No, I think one important question people typically ask is what is needed? What is needed to do a reasonable quantification? And it's very straightforward. So three pieces of information. One is the company information. So it's about 14 data points about the industry, how much revenue you're doing, how many employees you have. So really already modeling your company so we are able to benchmark you to more than 100,000 companies we have in our database. Then there's, of course, we need to bring into the tool how good or bad you are prepared. So one thing we looked at is the maturity of your information security controls. So, you have these frameworks out there like ISO 27001 or NIST. So bringing the maturity of those assessments, so 100 plus controls. And the other block of input we need is we do 4 interviews with key stakeholders, 1 hour each. So we interview the data protection officer, the CISO, the head of operations, because there are certain questions that are relevant. For example, if you're a manufacturing company, we ask, do you have reserves? So if you are hacked and you're not able to produce, do you have reserves somewhere to continue serving your customers? So every company is different. So again, these are 4 interviews, 60 to 80 questions in order to bring the quantification closer to the reality of that customer, to contextualize. So pretty straightforward. So we don't need a lot of integration. We don't need a lot of thousands of data points or scanning outside in. It's really very straightforward.
All right, fantastic. Asdrúbal, thank you again. And I wish you and your company a great success and hope to speak to you or your colleagues in sometime in the future to know about your further plans and successes.
Thanks, Martin, for having me. Have a great
Absolutely.
rest of the day.